We're getting closer and closer to holidays, aren't we? That means getting together with friends and family, making some food, and a lot of football games, of course, will be going on as well. And so you make some dips and stuff there. Well, today we're going to make a dip. There's a lot to it, but it's not hard whatsoever because you throw everything together into the bowl, mix it, bake it, and it's done. But there's a little bit to it, and we'll talk about it here in a second. We're going to call this one Onion Blossom Dip. Think of it like the bloomin' onion you would get from Outback Steakhouse. You know, it's got the onion to it, it's got the seasoning, it's got that horseradish. You can kind of dip it in there. So we'll show you that here in a second. But real quick, though, we'll go across the ingredient list over here and show you kind of what is going on. So we got the salt and pepper shakers or the grinders at the top. I do have the cayenne pepper, a little bit of oregano, so we're not going to put a whole lot into this when it comes to the cayenne pepper, but it's going to be in there just for a little bit of heat. Breadcrumbs, as you see there, some prepared horseradish. That is Parmesan cheese. I just have it turned the wrong direction, but that is Parmesan cheese already been grated. There you go. And then I've got some chopped up green onions, Worcestershire sauce, and some French fried onions. We're also going to use some cream cheese with this, some sour cream, and some Greek yogurt. So first things first is to cut your onion up. And so you can see I've already got the onion cut in half here. And I want to show you a technique of how I cut onions, because a lot of people, they'll take the knife, they'll cut, right, try to make it diced up, but you're spending a good amount of time cutting the onion up. Well, what you can do is instead of just taking your knife and cutting all the way through the onion, back it off and leave the top here, or the root that you had that I've cut off, by the way, but leave that uncut. So if you take your knife and you go, you know, probably 90% up to the top, we'll leave a little bit there at the top. So as you're doing that, you're not cutting the onion to where it falls apart. You see the onion's still holding together because this section right here, oops, sorry, my chips are covering it. This section right here is not cut. I'll move the pitas out of the way for a second. There we go. So the onion is cut through, it's just still being held together. Then that allows you to make some very small slices and dices with your chef knife here. And with that being the case, now you have the onion that is chopped up and in pretty good pieces. So this is going to call for about almost half of the onion. So there's that. We'll brush that off to the side just for a moment so I can get my bowl here. And by the way, when you are using a cutting board and you saw what I did just now and you're moving something off to the side, use the back edge of your knife. Don't use the blade side. That can damage the blade and make it more on the dull side. So now we're going to take these onions and we're going to just put them right into the bowl. This is going to require cream cheese. What dip doesn't require cream cheese, it seems like, right? Cream cheese is just the way to go to make it flavorful, and of course not healthy really in any way. So now I've got the cream cheese here, and you're saying your cream cheese is inside your air fryer? Yep, it sure is. I'm going to carefully pick it up so I don't burn myself. But what you can do is you're already going to be using your oven anyway, right? Okay, making sure it's not burning. You're already using your oven anyway, so it's probably already turned on. Throw your cream cheese in there. That will soften it up. Because I know a lot of recipes say, you know, bring the cream cheese to room temperature. Well, it's going to sit out for how long before it's somewhat, you know, get softened? Or you can do what I did just now, throw it into the air fryer or your oven at 350 or whatever it may be. This is not one to open. And it's softened within about 5 minutes. So one second, because this, sometimes I run into these foil packets where they don't want to tear at the top, even though they're supposed to open. So that hasn't gone all the way through yet. Oh my goodness gracious. Sometimes these foil packets, see what I mean? They just don't like to open. So we're going to do another quick little slice with the knife. There we go. And you're going to take the cream cheese now, and generally it would just fall right out, you know, and it is so good. So that's nice and softened up. So there's the cream cheese. Oh, we'll see the steam coming off, letting us know that, yep, that is very, very nice and soft. So we're going to put this now off to the edge here. And of course, had a garbage can, throw it in there. Now you're going to add your other ingredients. So we've got the onion, we've got the cream cheese. We're going to do about 1 and 2 tablespoons there of some Worcestershire sauce. The French onions will not go in there just yet, but we'll get those relatively soon onto the top. We're going to put Parmesan cheese in there. I've already measured all this out. That's why I can just dump it in there. And I mentioned earlier that we're going to do some cayenne pepper. Again, not a whole lot, just enough for a little bit of heat. Cayenne pepper. We're going to throw a little bit of oregano in there. You can put some more in that, but about 1/4 of a teaspoon of oregano will really be all that you need. To give this a little bit more of a kick to it, if you will, we're going to go with the prepared horseradish. So now we're going to take the horseradish and we're going to dump about 2 tablespoons of horseradish in there. And then we're going to throw in some breadcrumbs, 1 for flavor, but 2 just to kind of help bind everything together. So I'll put this back over here so it gets out of my way. And again, as I mentioned, we're going to do a little bit of salt and we're going to throw in a little bit of pepper. There we go. That's what I mentioned earlier, that everything gets thrown together. And then we're going to do some sour cream. So we're going to do about 1/2 cup of some sour cream. And then we're going to do in the same thing with some Greek yogurt, just because we're not going to do mayonnaise for the purpose of Ron. And there is your Greek yogurt. So like I mentioned, everything gets thrown in, and then all you do is just use your spatula and mix everything together just like that. Then you put it into your baking dish, which you can have one bigger than this because this is going to be too small for it. But you put that into your baking dish, then you take your French fried onions that you see here, and you sprinkle those onto the top. You put it in the oven, let everything get nice and bubbly, let it all cook, and then make some room here so I can actually open my little door here, open it up, take it out, and there you go. You have yourself some blossom onion dip. And if the onions get a little too charred on the top, if they start doing that when you're cooking it, just throw a little bit of aluminum foil over the top. I'm going to dish this out. Ron's going to try it out here just in a couple of minutes.